Hi, my name is Dr. John Douillard, and welcome to LifeSpa.com, where we prove ancient medical wisdom with modern science. And today, as I promised, I want to talk about oil pulling, a technique that is so important for the hygiene of your mouth. In fact, the UCLA Buck Institute recently gave a list of the top 10 keys to longevity. One of those is the health of your oral hygiene. So what is oil pulling? Oil pulling is the swishing of oil in your mouth for a period of time, 10 to 15 minutes, to sort of support the health of the oral tissue and your oral mucosa and your oral hygiene. How all this sort of started was maybe 10, 15 years ago. One of the big newspapers in India put out a request and said, everybody send us any testimonials or feedback on oil pulling. And in India, everybody swishes oil in their mouth. They do oil massage every day. They put oil in their hair every day. They put oil in their ear every day. They put everywhere there's a hole, they put oil, and they've been doing it forever. So when they wrote an article saying, tell us the reports of how great oil pulling was for them, they got about 1,500, wrote an article with about 1,500 different responses of all the testimonials of cancer, and you can imagine all the benefits. So all of a sudden, oil pulling became this amazing kind of technique that it was the cure-all, the panacea of everything. And it became sort of like, religious, overwhelming amounts of benefit. But the problem was, it's not. I mean, there isn't any science to support all those claims. So just to know it's not the cure-all. But there are benefits, and I've written a handful of articles about this and dug into the science, and there are a handful of benefits supporting the health of of your mouth, and definitely with oil pulling. A barrier in your mouth is linked to very important health benefits, including health with your lungs and your blood sugar and your heart. One study showed that there's a bug in your mouth called Streptococcus mutans, which is not a good guy. And it's a plaque builder. And it's been shown in people who have arterial plaque to be the cause of that arterial plaque in some 60% of the people with arterial plaque. They've recently found that same plaque that builds up in the brain is also caused by this same bug. So where does that bug come from? It comes through the oral mucosa. It comes through, a broken down protective barrier in your mouth. And it isn't thus surprising that in Ayurveda, they spent a ridiculous time supporting healthy mouth with tongue scraping, with a top copper tongue scraper, which we talked about last week, and all the benefits of that. Oil pulling, swishing of your mouth, cleaning your teeth with neem toothpaste or neem sticks, which is a powerfully antiseptic and supportive for the healing and the health and the integrity of the skin. We've amped that up here in the West with flossing and water picking and things to do everything we can to support the health of the skin of the mouth. So studies show that when you do oil pulling, well, before I tell you the studies of the benefit, let me tell you some sort of amazing research. I always am amazed at how in Ayurvedic medicine, how do they know that when you put the oil in your mouth, you're supposed to swish it for 10 to 15 minutes? How did they know that? Well, a study done at the Bioscience Institute in Ireland found that when you partially digest or sort of pre-digest oil, like coconut oil, not only does it saponificate, where it becomes sort of soapy, but it also amps up its antiseptic properties and becomes way, way more effective. So when you look at using oil pulling, you would think, it's not the most delightful experience in the world to put oil in your mouth and swish it around for 10 minutes. But the science shows that when you do it for 10 minutes, you pre-digest the oil, and that amps up its antimicrobial benefit, where it actually helps break down the bugs that make plaque, the bugs that, like Streptococcus mutans, that make plaque not in your mouth, in your teeth, but also elsewhere in your body. It also supports the health of a healthy environment, which gets rid of bad bugs. It gets rid of volatile sulfur compounds, which are the waste products of bad bugs that make bad breath. It also has been shown to support the health of the skin, and it has this saponification effect where it cleans your mouth and cleans your teeth, and all these incredible benefits. And it's a great way to deliver vitamins and minerals like vitamin E and sesame oil. It's how you remember sesame oil has a lot of vitamin E in it. When you put it in your mouth, it absorbs that vitamin E through your skin better than even taking a vitamin E supplement, according to one study that I wrote about. So it's pretty crazy, right? That's why putting oil on your skin has been shown to absorb the vitamin E through your skin better than taking an oral supplement, or at least the same effectiveness, which is sort of amazing, right? So all kinds of benefits, but I thought it was sort of profound that the science shows that you can't just go in there and swish it for 10 minutes or a couple of minutes. It has to be like a full 10 to 15 minutes to pre-digest the oil. And we know and the traditional recipe was coconut, sesame, turmeric, and maybe a little bit of peppermint oil, which is what we use in our Swish product, because it tastes really good. But the coconut has what's called lauric acid in it. And when you digest it in your body, it turns into what's called monolaurin, which is one of the most powerful antiseptics in our body, which is why coconut oil, one of the reasons why coconut oil is so good for us. But when you put it in your mouth and you pre-digest it, it turns to the monolaurin in your mouth and has this amped up effectiveness of the benefits of your mouth. So those are some of the reasons why I think profoundly, how they knew to do it for 10, 15 minutes, and now we have the science to back that up. Again, ancient wisdom, modern science, just profound amount of information. But more importantly than that, why all these crazy testimonials? Was there anything to it? So there's a technique in Ayurveda called lipophilic mediated detoxification, which means fats like fats. When you use ghee and you ingest it into all of our cleanses, like our short home cleanse and our Colorado cleanse, and you use ghee, it actually has good science to show that it pulls out heavy metals and pesticides out of your tissues for 6 weeks to 3 months after you finish that cleanse. Pretty amazing, right? Well, does oil pulling have the same kind of pulling effect? When we use the term oil pulling, we're not talking about pulling it through your teeth or something like that. That's not what the pulling means. The pulling is based on this pulling effect of pulling toxins out of fat-soluble tissues. And since your brain is very fat-soluble, and since your brain drains through these lymphs in your back of your throat, it's reasonable to assume that there might be some oil-pulling detoxification effect that might explain all the amazing benefits people had with oil pulling, although I have zero science to back that up. But we do have science backed up the lipophilic mediated detoxification when you ingest things like ghee to detoxify. But the theory Ayurvedically was it was the same basic principle that when you do that, you get this sort of detoxification effect. So throwing that out there, that there may be some additional benefits that we don't have science to back up, but they've been doing this technique for thousands of years. There is hard science to back it up, that it supports a healthy mouth oral hygiene, which is critically important for our health and our longevity. So read the article with all the science here and learn more about, I've read at least 3 or 4 articles on oil pulling. So you read that article and get the information and the science behind that. Thanks for listening, and see you next week. I'm Dr. John Douillard.